Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we turn to talking about another one of the most popular TV show hosts of our generation, another one that's very left-leaning and possibly going down in flames this week. I'm of course talking about Oprah Winfrey. Oprah was far more popular back in her heyday. She used to have a live syndicated talk show that was very popular and well-liked back in the 80s and 90s. Since then, she's sort of retired from daytime TV, but she hasn't left the spotlight. She's moved on to other projects. She has her own TV channel now that produces like reality shows and interviews for her. She's had other ventures as well. She's invested in movies. She's done other things like that. Still does big interviews on her own terms, though. She basically has a similar kind of presence, but not the same way. And specifically recently, she's been getting way more race obsessed than usual. In fact, her latest foray into talk show hosting comes in the form of a new series that she has on Apple Plus TV. Yes, Apple Plus and Apple have decided to come up with their own streaming service and their own product and TV shows too. They've been trying to get in on this whole streaming fad to compete with Netflix and Hulu and HBO and all those other guys. So one of their new shows on Apple TV is hosted by Oprah, and I believe it's called Conversations or something like that, The Conversation. And essentially, from what we've seen from the first episodes, it's a big hate fest. It's her and her other cohorts hating on white people, essentially. She talks about supposed white privilege and saying white people are bad, and even the worst and poorest of white people still have privilege, which is rather ironic. This is why she's getting backlash, because keep in mind, Oprah's a billionaire. She came from a poor place herself and became one of the biggest talk show hosts and one of the richest people in our country. So for her to come out and bash white people after we made her famous and rich, and let alone also say we're all privileged, I mean, come on, she's the one that's privileged. And we're going to talk about why. We're going to talk more about this story soon. We're going to go over her new show and how creepy and weird it is and how offensive it is too. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. Did you know after the age of 20, your body produces about 10% less collagen each passing decade? The visible result ends up being an appearance of wrinkles, flaky skin, hair loss, and dirty nails as we age. That's why Ageless Multi-Collagen was created. And that's why I have this great offer for you only at healthwithnobs.com. Now, BioTrust is our secure supplier of ageless multi-collagen, and you can get up to 50% off while supplies last. You're going to notice differences in your skin, your hair, your nails, everything. So check out BioTrust today by visiting healthwithnobs.com. Check out that link below. Thanks for your time, and now back to the show. Great, now that that's out of the way, let's get back to talking about Oprah. As I said, she has a new series on Apple, and she's basically talking trash about white people, talking a lot about white privilege, and she's doing her same kind of thing she's done with other projects. She tries to hire a young and up-and-coming black artist. She did this before when she did like that Wrinkle of Time movie, and she brought on Ava DuVernay as her director, who had worked in stuff before, but she was still up and coming, and that was their biggest project, and it turned into a total flop, by the way. Wrinkle in Time was a terrible movie. It had Oprah in it dressed up like some kind of magician, some kind of like godlike figure. It was really cringy, and it reminds me a lot of this project because a lot of ways it's similar in not only the fact that she hires this young upcoming black artist who's also severely racist and biased against white people, but also in addition, Oprah inserts herself into the equation, and she's making herself out to be this like hero, godlike figure. Like she really thinks highly of herself, and it's very obvious when we get to the clips of the show. You'll see how it's like set in a white room. She's got these weird futuristic glasses on, and it really reminds you of like one of those scenes from The Matrix where like Neo is talking to the computer, a god guy, and it seems like Oprah thinks she's that high and mighty right now. But before we get to that, let's talk about the article first, because she's already getting backlash for what's on her show. It says, Oprah Winfrey blocks everyone on Twitter from commenting on her white shame special. Oprah can dish it out, but she can't take it. Typical liberal elitist privilege, right? Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, this is someone who spent an hour on her show, like her whole show was about bashing white people, and then she gets a few bad comments and she automatically starts, basically blocking them, not letting people reply, hiding replies, and all that bad stuff that we see leftists do all the time. The same leftists who talk about like freedom of speech and trying to have, fair and balanced, open dialogues, but at the same time, they censor their detractors. So this article also says, I guess Oprah Winfrey can dish it out, but she sure as heck can't take it. Oprah is taking a lot of heat for her latest special, which shamed white people for their undeniable privilege. Many people found it ironic that a black billionaire was chastising white people as having massive advantages. It feels like perpetuating victimhood when instead Oprah could be using her platform and her own experience to empower black people. That's right. I feel like she's doing it the wrong way. Like she thinks by bashing white people, that's going to empower black people, but it's really just the wrong way to go about it. Like she's attacking these people and she's creating these villains when really, I mean, she got made rich in this country. She had a whole fan base of like white housewives. And now she's saying we're all racist and we're all, born with this privilege, which is absurd because, I mean, if you really think about it, if anyone has privilege right now, it's people like Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she has black people privilege. She has, rich people privilege, TV people privilege, like Hollywood insider privilege. Like there's all kinds of things protecting her. Like all these layers make her almost untouchable, but she can also go around and bash other people freely. So if someone else tried to do this, even like another race, like say a brown race or an Asian race, if they started talking trash about black people, that would be talked down completely. I mean, possibly the minorities would get away with it, but if a white person said anything like this, saying like black people had this or that, they would totally be shut down. But Oprah Winfrey doesn't just get away with it. She gets propped up and gets her own new show on Apple all about it, all about bashing white people, which is insane. Her special was supposedly designed to help America heal from systemic racism and civil unrest by attacking people because of their skin color. Makes perfect liberal sense, right? Whitney focused on people's whiteness as the billionaire delved into how privileged white people are thanks to their skin color. To make her point, Oprah had on a bunch of self-hating white people. Yeah, this is the scene I'm talking about. We're going to get to the clips. It's really, really eerie. It's a really, really strange video setup. When you see it, let's go ahead and see if there's some clips here. This is the video. I'm not sure if we can actually show any of the clips because it's very, very copyrighted and will probably get taken down. But let's just look at some images because you can already imagine what they're saying. And it's just really insane. I mean, first of all, this is the tweet that we're saying no one can reply. Only people mentioned can reply. So basically only the two people she mentioned can reply. So she's hiding the replies because she's getting backlash. And I think we all know why. It's just absolutely absurd that this billionaire black chick can go after white people and saying like even poor white people have privilege. And then if you watch these clips, like it's just her, this is her new director, her new collaborator. Like I said, this is another person similar to her last one that's just an up and coming black artist. Nothing wrong with that. But the fact that they have all this hate in their hearts and the fact that they want to bash white people so much is really, really troubling. And then this is the scene I'm talking about. This is the part that looks really strange to me. Like the setup for her thing, it's just really eerie. It's like all in a white room and she's bashing white people. And then she has other white people on this screen just to chastise them. Like she has all these screens. And obviously this is like a setup because of the social distancing kind of lifestyle we're in now. You can't film things person to person these days anymore because of the virus, but I don't think it explains just the creepy vibe to it. Like Oprah's sitting in her chair. She looks like that guy from Neo, the architect from the Matrix movie. She's in this white room and then she's got her director co-buddy. They're both bashing white people. And then they just bring self-hating whites on all these screens over and over again just to have them kind of say, oh my God, I hate my white guilt. Oh my God, I hate myself, like just really cringe. And you can't see all the screens filled here. Here's a shot of all the screens filled. And to me, it's like I said, it's just this eerie, like futuristic, like Orwellian weird thing. Like it reminds me, one other thing it reminds me of is like that scene from the first Avengers movie where Nick Fury has to go into this room and like talk to his bosses. But in that scene, they're like blacked out. You can't see their faces, but it's in kind of one of these rooms. Like it's this weird conference room. And then Oprah is looking strange too. Like I said, I'm not bashing her look, but yeah, she's not making the best face here, but the glasses and the look of her is what weirds me out. She's got the Apple Watch. She's got these weird, like futuristic glasses that make the whole thing kind of strange to me. Like she's trying to like perpetuate this kind of propaganda with this really sleek look, this new Apple show. And yeah, it's just really bad coming from Oprah. Like you got to really consider where this stuff comes from because like we said, if this was a not a billionaire, like not this rich person who's profited off of white people in America for decades, like it might hit home. Like if they had a real story, like, oh, I faced this racism, like, oh my God, I saw this privilege, and they had like real examples, like that would be one thing. But we're talking about Oprah, we're talking about one of the richest people in the country. She's just absolutely insane. And I think this actually, what this reminds me of is a previous video. This really reminds me of what's happened with Beyonce, because Beyonce's made a similar move. She's also a very rich person who gained a lot of fame in like the 90s. And now Beyonce has gone full-fledged BLM, like race baiting, race hustling. She made that Black is King visual album that was just pandering to leftists and black people and just trying to get more woke, just trying to look as woke as possible later in their career. And that's what I feel like Oprah's doing. It's later in her career. She's past her prime, and it's not really about money anymore. These days, it's about like influence and spreading ideas and just staying relevant. Like, I don't even know if she necessarily believes all this stuff, but she knows if she just says it, she says white people have privilege. Beyonce knows if she says black people are kings and queens, like they're going to get the just default following of the people that are just devoted to that BS. So that's what they're doing now. It's not really about the money, although they are getting paid a lot of money. So that's part of it, but it's more about the influence. It's about, just showing how they can still control narratives and be famous and be on the public specter, just getting themselves out there. And yeah, it's just about these kinds of female black entertainers trying to remain relevant. So with that said, I think that about wraps things up. You guys get the point. Oprah has been awful this week, and she's getting deserved backlash. And really, it's just really upsetting and kind of racist. It's super racist against white people. And it just shows that even the richest of black people, even the richest of these like woke activist type people, they're still going to complain. It's never enough. I mean, when would Oprah think she's not privileged anymore? Like when would Oprah think she's not affected by white people and privilege anymore? I mean, she has $1 billion. Would $2 billion suffice? 3, 4, 5 billion? I mean, how much money does she actually need? How much fame, how much time on the spotlight is enough for these people? And really that comes down to, and this is where we can end, is that it's never enough. It's never enough for someone like this, for someone that always complains and has these terrible ideas and terrible narratives. We could tell that it's just never enough. They're not always going to want more money, power, influence. She wants to have more connections. She's probably upset that the Obamas had their era and then Clinton lost. So she's part of this is definitely related to the election. We know the election is coming up in a couple months, and I know that I'm beating a dead horse there, but everything is related to the election. This is part of it. She's playing into this whole racial tension. And yeah, the worst part is like what we read earlier. They claim this is being done to try and make racial tensions better and to clear things up, but they're actually stoking the flames. They're making it worse. They're throwing gasoline on the fire. I mean, you don't go out and bash white people more in this situation. Like, they should be preaching ideas of togetherness, not telling people that they're all offensive and, oh, you have privilege, like you're a terrible person, even if you're like some bum on the street, like a white bum on the street who has no money to their name. According to Oprah, they're more privileged and they have more advantages than her, which is absolutely insane. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Tell me what you think about Oprah, her new show, her blocking and hiding her comments, and also, when is it ever enough for people like this? In addition, also hit the like button to help support this channel. If you enjoyed what you saw, you can also subscribe, hit that bell button for notifications, and check out our second channel, NoBS News, for extra content. Until next time, have a great day.